Yeah, welcome to another Music Maker guitar video. Please make sure you hit the like button and subscribe and leave me a comment. Let me know what you want to see next. I had a really great comment from Robin May Guitar on my Zombie Wolf video, and he was asking about guitar arrangement and maybe some things. He was actually specifically asking, I think, please, Robin, if you see this, leave me a comment and let me know if I'm like correct in this. But I think you were actually asking me to lay out some more Zombie Wolf parts. And while I would love to do that, there's a lot going on in that arrangement that I had. So I'm kind of interested in seeing exactly like which parts you're into. If you want to maybe like drop me a comment and like, you know, like say it's this timestamp in this video or whatever, that would be really super helpful for me. But I thought that I would come on, and I have like my list here of 5 like things you can do for guitar arranging to really make your recordings and your arrangements pretty special. So here's my like top 5 tips. Number 1, I guess this is kind of like the order of the steps too. This isn't like, I think number 1 step is probably the most important step. It's also the first step you should take when like approaching an arrangement of somebody else's music just playing guitar. So that said, step 1 and the most important part is practice with the record. Like really like if you're doing Zappa especially, I don't want to say Zappa especially, like really like most music, you want to make sure like not to just do a tab, because tab will like tell you all the perfect notes to play and it'll tell you perfect guitar positioning, but it doesn't really inform you about like how loud or soft you should be playing. It doesn't really inform you like a lot of the times even like if you're playing the correct rhythms, or just like a lot of the other nuances, like which notes you play. It's like one ingredient out of many ingredients in music. So like just getting that part down and then thinking that we could go in and like arrange a whole thing that's really special, that's like a lofty thought. So practice with the record, because that's gonna just, again, it's gonna like inform you about so much more than just like following a tab, or like even if I were to just lay out a video and tell you where the notes are, like that's gonna do so much more for your playing. And even if you don't like know all the parts or anything, like sound things out, take it really slowly. There's software out there where you can slow down parts. I use Ableton Live or the Amazing Slowdowner. Those are my 2 that I use, like if I have to transcribe something really hard, really fast, and I just need it to be slowed down. But just make sure you like practice with the record and try and get it up to speed, or at least close to speed. And then an extra step that I take, I play like a lot with a loop machine. So something that I try to do is once I've got it pretty, like I feel like I'm pretty good with the record, I'll actually turn it off, then turn on the loop machine, see if I can make myself like a backing track that sounds close to the record, close-ish. You know, it's gonna always be different because like I'm me and whoever's on the record is them, and we all have our own personal sound. Music is a very personal thing. So yeah, that's always gonna kind of be the case. But if you can get it like where it sounds personally to you, close to what it should be, and then can play along with that, that does a lot for like your performance chops on it, and it's going to make recording it a lot easier. So I kind of take that extra step. It's not really necessary with recordings because you can take like many takes. You can spend days just doing takes. That's fine. I just like for me, I like to really try and knock it out. Second step is learn all of the vocal parts and like any like key melodies. So like the Zappa thing has a bunch of string parts and like orchestral parts going on in it. So I made sure to learn all those. To be honest, it was a while back now, so I probably would have to rehearse it again to get it right. But then the vocal parts are especially key. And a lot of the time they're not like super hard. And that's the reason that they're great vocal parts to begin with, is because like they're easy to sing. So if it's easy to sing, it's probably also relatively easy to play. There's kind of a sub-step in that. I like to analyze and figure out like what scale. For Zombie Wolf, there's a lot of pentatonic scale for the vocal parts, so that makes it really, really easy if like you just know your pentatonic scales, and then you know how to hear the pentatonic scale. You can tell that they're singing a pentatonic scale. Like, that's all there. If you don't know what that is, I would encourage you take a little separate sub-step and take a visit over to my website, MusicMakerLessons.com. There's a link in the description. I have packets with pentatonic scales, modes, like all that stuff, scale shapes, chord shapes, a bunch of that. It's all over there. And then if you did want to do something more in depth, you have a certain part of Zombie Wolf you want to take on one-on-one, we can arrange that over there. But anyways, go visit me there and get some of those resources and learn how to like hear what those scales are, because that's how it's going to be really easy to analyze and like figure out what's going on in the song. So that's step 2. Step 3 is similar. You want to learn the chords and like bass line. And again, like, best to learn it on a really deep level. It's one thing to like go through and just maybe find power chords that work. That's a great start if that's where you're at. But if you're trying to get a full orchestration, like you may actually get a couple of parts. Like you have a power chord part, and then maybe you have a single notes part or high triads part where you're playing these like higher voicings. Any of that is kind of like up for grabs at this point, but you want to definitely know like what the bass note is, so I always try to figure that out. And then you also learn what the chord forms on top of the bass note are. Sometimes you have like, I love this chord, I see it all the time too, like G with A in the bass, something like that, or like, hey, there's something, you want something spicier, maybe G sharp with A in the bass. I see these spicy chord forms like that a lot, so it's good to just be able to analyze it and figure out what it is. And then you have lower structures that you can play in your arrangement, you have upper structures that you can play, and you can orchestrate a little bit, because that's a really important part of making it sound full, is to like, you know, use the full range of your instrument. So you can do the same thing, analyze that. What scale do things come from? What chords are they? Do you know how to play the inversions that are high? Do you know how to play the inversions that are low? And again, if any of that stuff is like you don't know what any of that is, I have a packet that really lies out where all of these things lie. And if you need an explanation, just hit me up. So that's steps 1, 2, 3. That's most of the work right there. But step 4 and 5, I think, are kind of what make things really, really stand out. So step 4 is like choose your form. Which order are you doing things in? Are you doing things exactly like the record? Do you have an introduction you want to put on something? Do you have like a little pause where you want to put your own little signature thing in there somewhere? Be it a solo, or be it like a cool chord run, or be it a reharmonization, or you know, whatever it is. Just like you have to choose the order of like which sections you're playing when, and how you're doing them, I think, is a really important part of the form. Like, am I playing this loud? Am I playing this soft? Again, is it like the record, or am I choosing to do something else with this because I feel artistic about this music? You know, it's really important part of that process is to choose a form. When you're doing that, I think it's also kind of important, like, consider what you're doing. I'm kind of talking about guitar arranging. So like for instance, for the Zombie Wolf arrangement that I did, I wanted to use 3 different guitars. I wanted to have a Telecaster sound and a Strat sound and my PRS sound all present. So I arranged them all into the form so that they would all do something at some point. They all had basically their job within that. So you want to, like, again, that's all stuff to consider when you're building this arrangement. And I think that's like where, once you get your form together, that's where things start to really materialize. You can lay in your track, you can really kind of figure it out at that point. And then step 5, again, maybe most important at this point, is to polish and edit. So like, listen back to your own recording, listen back to your arrangement, and like kind of just really put really critical ears on, you know, and you know, not to the point where like you're mean to yourself. Like, you want to always be kind with your attitude towards your music, but like, if something is not your best, call yourself on it and figure out how to fix it. And sometimes that step takes a lot of time. Sometimes we don't know how to fix it right away. It's just like, well, this is what I was feeling at the time, and that's what ended up on the track, but now that I listen to it, it's not working. And sometimes that's as easy as putting some EQ or like an effect on something and cutting out frequencies that are fighting with each other. Sometimes that's just like maybe it was the wrong part for this piece of music. You were really feeling it when you were practicing, but then when you listen back, it just like doesn't really work with whatever was going on the recording. So you have to be kind of critical about that stuff. Think about it. Careful with your delete key. Use your save key often. And really just, again, like, edit and polish on that final step, and don't let it out until you're done with it. Maybe you can let somebody, like a trusted, colleague, listen and say, like, hey, what do you think this needs? Stuff like that's always cool. In fact, maybe encouraged in this step, in your polishing and editing step, is maybe getting some trusted musicians' feedback or trusted guitar players' feedback on it. And that's always cool. But, like, don't put out like a Bandcamp album with your unfinished work, because then that kind of gives out, like, it spoils the surprise for when you're actually done with it, and it'll cause people to lose interest. Like, if it's not your best work, then people will know that you maybe don't always put out your best work, so they'll like not trust you to get it or to tune in. So you wanna be careful with like your listeners' like attention, because it's their time, and like, time is money, and it's definitely important to consider that when you're making art for people. So anyways, that's my 5 steps on like arranging better. And these are steps I follow myself, like I this is my exact process. So, take that as you will. Hopefully this was really helpful for you, Robin, and thank you so much for that comment. It really means a lot to me to start getting some comments on some of this stuff, because I feel like I'm such a newbie on this. But please do, let me know what you think. Let me know if there's something that I missed. And definitely hit me up on the website. I'd like to see you over there, just for nothing else, just to go get that packet full of free stuff. And we'll see you in the next one. I'm going to play my way out. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave me a comment.